and we're going to have Jane Hamsher on to have an equally spirited discussion probably. She's from Fire Dog Lake, of course, and she's been an absolute champion in fighting for the public auction and for strong health care reform, and also in some financial reform cases as well. Jane, welcome back to the Young Turks.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Cenk.
Thanks for coming on. I want to start first with a kind of a side note here before we get to the main attraction. You had this fact in something that you wrote, Jane, on your website that I was amazed by. Goldman Sachs apparently put out a report saying that health insurance companies' stocks are going to rise by 59% in 10 years if there is no public option, but they're going to fall by 36% if there is a public option over the next 10 years. Do you think that's the linchpin to everything? Do you think that's why the corporatists, Lieberman, Nelson, et cetera, have made the public option their do-or-die battle?
Absolutely. I don't think Goldman Sachs was basically, we think, oh, that's good. That means the public option is really going to be good at controlling costs, and the insurance companies' monopolies that are from whence they gain their market dominance. But Goldman Sachs put something like that out, and they expect people to go, oh, this sucks. I mean, it was sort of market manipulation. So it wasn't particularly ethical, but they meant it. I mean, of course, 10 years, stocks, they're talking, there's no way you can know what it'll be in 10 years, but their projections are that that stocks would increase, that the health care bill without a public option would be very good for the healthcare industry, the health insurance industry, and that if they have a public option, not so good. So I think that people who are saying that the public option wouldn't do that much aren't, that kind of should take a look at that.
Yeah, because people who want to kill the public option, like Joe Lieberman, are all over the board. He said, well, look, if you look at something like that, you see how it's going to hurt private industry. And then he'll turn around and say, well, actually, the CBO says the public option is going to cost more than private insurance, so it's not going to affect the industry. I mean, he said both things, right? And do you think that, I mean, this is kind of a bit of a softball, but do you think the media has done a poor job in covering how these corporatist Democrats actually don't care about the deficit at all and don't care about lower premiums despite their claims, but in fact are obviously protecting these insurance companies that are paying them off?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I do know where these guys got the reputation for being moderate centrists. They were war hawks, and that was considered the sensible position. And nobody nobody sort of revised that script after everybody who was anxious to go to war was proven wrong, including Joe Lieberman. And the Russ Feingolds of the world are considered, you were wrong to be right by the sensible class. So yeah, these guys are bad on everything. They take money from corporations, from Walmart. They vote against the windfall profits tax. Blanche Lincoln did. They're bad. They're just bad all around, and they have tons of cash coming their way from corporate donations. And nobody's sort of saying this is not fiscally responsible. This is looting.
So Jane, that of course gets to the question of what do we do with them. Harry Reid has said that he will not go through reconciliation, and these four, Landrieu, Lincoln, Nelson, and Lieberman, are saying, no, that's it, we're going to join a Republican filibuster at the end. And then you have Sanders and Sherrod Brown and Roland Burr saying, okay, well, we'll do a filibuster without a public option. So what do we do?
Well, I think it's important to analyze how this will affect individuals' political careers. Harry Reid is at 38% approval in the state of Nevada. And boy, he sure was list building last week on how hard he was going to fight for the public option, right? And so now that it's in his power to be able to go with majority rule, majority in the Senate want a public option. 51 have said that they would vote for it. Is he going to let, because of procedure, which is something he controls as majority leader, 3 or 4 corporatist Democrats hold the health care bill up on behalf of WellPoint and Blue Cross? I mean, that's his choice, but he's got to be up for re-election in 2010, and is that something he wants going out on ads in newspapers? that, he basically made you buy insurance from a company that he dealt a monopoly to, because Ben Nelson, in exchange for his cloture vote, said they have to be the insurance companies have to be not immune from antitrust laws. So you Cenk, are going to be forced to buy insurance from one of these people who has no competition, because Harry Reid didn't want to have a democratic process in the Senate. He wasn't willing to fight for that.
Jane,
maybe
hold
he
on.
wants to run with those kinds of ads. I think maybe not.
Let's get a couple of things straight here. First, you mentioned list building. I think a lot of people don't know what that means. What do you mean Harry Reid did some list building?
Well, and I apologize. Email lists are very powerful things. That's why MoveOn has, the influence that it does, is that they have the ability to communicate with people quickly, ask them for money, tell them what they think about a particular issue. And so, email list size equals dollars. I think Hillary Clinton rents hers out for, a lot of money to pay off of her campaign debts. It's just, the list size means something. So if you go out and you're list building, that means you're telling people, hey, go sign this petition or go sign this poll for no other reason than you just want their email address so that you can go out and raise money off of them or message to them. And that was what Harry Reid was doing. And he and Dick Durbin both were sending out emails going, there's no question that we'll have a public option. It's just what kind of a public option, Durbin sent out. And that very same day, he's on, hardball going, well, we don't have the 60 votes. We don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good. So they're being real cynical here.
Do you think right now that, as things stand, that they're going to buckle and go back, and that this was a ploy by Harry Reid to put the public option in there in the first place so he can say, hey, look, I gave it a shot and I built my email list, and then when push comes to shove, they're going right back to the trigger?
Oh, you mean like they did with the war during 2006? Why, yes, Cenk, you are a winner.
So now, do you have hope? Do you have hope that somehow we can get them to reconciliation through the progressives? There are real progressives in the Senate, right? I mean, Sherrod Brown, Bernie Sanders. Feingold's questionable on this because he cares about the procedure. I want to get to that in a second. But do you have hope that we can actually get them to reconciliation?
Put it this way. I have hopes that Harry Reid will want to not take responsibility for an action that will take the public option out. There was a very interesting article by Brian Butler in Talking Points memo about how the opt-out came to go into the Senate bill in the first place. And Brian reported that there was a meeting at the White House where the White House said to Harry Reid, you are the one who gets to combine these bills. We want you to take it out. And Harry Reid goes, I don't want to take it out. And they go, well, we don't want the president to take the hit of taking it out. And he goes, well, I'm up for re-election in 2010, and my approval ratings suck. I'm not going to take that hit. And so that was when Harry Reid decided to keep it in. And he had tried earlier to unload it and say, oh, it's the administration is going to, we're all going to make this decision collectively. And we online, you amongst us, made it clear that, no, Harry, this is your choice and you're going to wear this. And so they've tried to unload it on everybody. Oh, it's Joe Lieberman's fault. Oh, it's Ben Nelson's fault. But the bottom line is, if Harry Reid and Barack Obama allow the country to be led around the nose by Joe Lieberman, they're going to have to wear it. And as long as you keep saying that over and over again, you can't get away by blaming this on Joe. Your lack of ability to control Joe is what got us here in the first place, Harry. You get to wear this. He keeps not wanting to do that thing that they keep trying to find somebody to do.
So, Jane, I get grief all the time from some of our listeners. Definitely not all, and definitely not even most, but some of our listeners and our viewers who say, Cenk, you're not nearly as crafty as Obama is, and Obama knows what he's doing, and he's always said, I just got an email today on this, saying the same thing that I've heard a million times. He's always said that he's in favor of the public option. I don't know why you assume he's not, and in the end, he's going to do the Jedi mind trick and get the public option in there. Are those people completely deluded, or do they have any hope of being right, that Obama actually is just playing this out and that he's, using some sort of jiu-jitsu to use,
his rope-a-dope?
Yeah, his rope-a-dope thing, and that in the end he's going to fight for the public option?
Well, I personally don't happen to have any information from anyone ever in my months and months of working on this subject that indicates that's the state of affairs, but let's say it was. He's also the guy that said, make me do it. So what downside is there in creating the conditions that make it easy for him to do it?
But, that Brian Butler story that you just referenced indicates that the White House doesn't even want it, though. I mean, they don't even want the public option. They told Harry Reid to take it out, and they were pissed when he didn't.
Well, Rahm Emanuel was trying to get triggers in January, and then Rahm Emanuel was trying to get triggers again in July in the Wall Street Journal. And then Rahm Emanuel has been negotiating with Olympia Snowe to try and get triggers. Rahm Emanuel wants triggers, and he is the person who's negotiating for the White House. There is just no way around those two facts. So, unless you are trying to argue that Barack Obama is, with his Jedi mind tricks, not aware of what the White House Chief of Staff, who is in charge of negotiating health care for the White House, is doing, then one would have to conclude that he, supporting Rahm Emanuel, is supporting triggers.
We're talking to Jane Hamsher from FireDogLake.com, and she's been covering this probably better than anyone else in the country, if you ask me. And so I want to go to reconciliation. Now, some senators say, hey, listen, that's a real procedural problem there, that it's not just an easy, okay, we just get 51 votes and it's over, that you can't get rid of pre-existing conditions through that. You might have to split the bill, but if you split the bill, then the House has to split the bill, and that it might not be doable because of that. Now, do you think those are legitimate concerns, or do you think that's another ruse because they just don't want to do it?
Well, splitting the bill means they would pass them separately. Now, who's going to vote against getting rid of pre-existing conditions besides the Republicans? I don't really see that. That's been the one thing that everybody even the Republicans might have a hard time voting against that. That's been the one thing that everybody sort of agrees on. Yeah, that couldn't go through reconciliation, but the parts that, the contentious part is the public option. That's the part that would go through reconciliation.
But what's to stop Lieberman and Ben Nelson from saying, hey, you know what, you're splitting the bill. I'm no dummy. No, I'm filibustering both because I don't want you to split the bill.
That is their choice, but again, you're talking about parts that are relatively not controversial that are tremendously publicly popular. Mm-hmm. So, at best, I think you would find yourselves in a situation where the public would be tremendously against it. But, the public option part of it, taking that through reconciliation, you only need 51 votes. There are 51 votes. Mm-hmm. That's the only hope for the public option at this point if you're going to let Joe Lieberman hold the bill hostage.
Is there any hope at all, you think, that they're actually going to get the 60 Democrats through bribes and cajoling and regular horse trading, et cetera? And what I mean by bribes, of course, is political bribes. Here, Louisiana gets this, Arkansas gets that, et cetera, to hold all of them with the opt-out public option that is in the bill now. Any chance of that at all?
It would take a real game changer from the outside. I think maybe a strong primary challenge to one of the holdouts that shook everybody up, possibly. But other than that, I think that you're probably looking at a situation where reconciliation is the only hope.
All right, and finally, Obama thinks that from what we read, and then there's a news story out today about how he really liked this article in the Atlantic because that article makes the case that the public option is not that big a deal in containing costs. What really can contain costs are these panels that are going to figure out how to, instead of doing fee-based Medicare, do results-based Medicare. Now, look, I think that there could be tremendous value in that.
Yes.
Do you think that is a legitimate point that the White House has, that might actually bring significant cost containment, that maybe we shouldn't, like if you had to kill the bill, that you shouldn't kill it because that actually could give you the cost containment you're looking for?
I don't think the CBO found that it would. Perhaps they're wrong, we're wrong, everybody's wrong. But I don't think that, you go and say, let's just put all our faith in this thing when, we just cross our fingers and click our heels together and hope. Let's pass a bill that's going to work, right? That's what we really need for the American people, for sick people. We had Eve Gittleson down in Arkansas at Keith Olbermann's healthcare clinics. There were people there with no legs. There were people there who had been diagnosed with stage 3 cancer 7 years ago who had never been able to see a doctor. I mean, there were people who were ashamed to be able to have to ask for health care. these are the people that we're talking about. These are the people that we're trying to get help to. So let's have some political will here and fight for something that we think is really going to help them, rather than just try and get a political win or, hope that, these panels will be able to, deliver what we want. We know what will work. What's before the House and the Senate is, a small fraction even of what is needed. It's a shadow of what is needed. To water it down anymore is a travesty. And President Obama should step in there and fight at least for what we have, and not let Joe Lieberman lead the country around by the nose.
Jane Hamsher from FireDogLake.com. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us, Jane.
Thanks a lot, Cenk.
All right, Young Turks.